Well, good afternoon and welcome to the principal's office. I am Principal Edward Gordon, and I am so glad you have tuned in for this weekly broadcast where we will be interviewing educational stakeholders who have made a significant impact for themselves, for others, and with others in education. In the book, The 15 Valuable Laws of Growth, written by Dr. John C. Maxwell, he talks about the law of modeling. The law of modeling states it's hard to improve when you have no one but yourself to follow. Today, I am grateful to have another special guest who is making a significant impact in education, Dr. Tamia McEwing. Good afternoon, Dr. McEwing.
Hi, good afternoon, Principal Gordon. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, thank you for coming on the show this afternoon. So, I would like to start off with a brief introduction of our guests. Tamia A. McEwing, PhD, developed her framework, Lifestyle as Wellness Support, LAWS Integrative Model. She developed her model from a fundamental belief. It's through caring for ourselves that we can collectively care for each other and create a culture of well being. She helps individuals and groups of all types develop cultures of well being. Dr. McEwing received her doctorate in curriculum and instruction from Texas A&M University with specialization in urban education, and her Master of Arts in secondary reading from Grand Canyon University, and a BS in psychology from Prairie View A&M University. She is a state certified recovery peer specialist and has received a 200-hour yoga and wellness certification and designations for level 1 Chayung and Y12SR Spaceholder, which is a yoga 12-step recovery program. Dr. McEwing is the author of Mind as Well, Journey from Discovery to Recovery and Beyond, newly released in April of this year. She is the owner of Be Well Friends LLC, Virtual Wellness Community, a board member of Peer Support Coalition of Florida, and founder of Treasure Coast Peer Network. Dr. McEwing partners as a daily peer facilitator and monthly co-facilitator of Your Black Matters peer support group. She currently resides in Vero Beach, Florida. Help me welcome again to the show, Dr. Tamia McEwing. Good afternoon, Dr. McEwing.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello, hello.
Yes, yes. I want to start off with this quote. Maya Angelou states, there is no greater agony than burying an untold story inside of you. Tamia, what is your story?
Oh my goodness. And that is one of my favorite quotes. It is. So my goodness, my story. So in the book, Mine as Well, I break it down into different parts. So part one is called It's Journey. So it's just me. It's growing up. It's being a parent, a child of parents in the military. Having spent time in Germany and just a little bundle of energy, little free spirit bundle of energy, loving to bounce around and do things, big family, cousins, and um, spending time in Chicago and growing up in El Paso. So it's literally just life, So part one is journey, having been educated at a HBCU and singing in the gospel choir in children's church and the gospel choir. Later when I went to the HBCU, and it's just it's life. And then I talk about discovery. So part two is discovery. When I found out as a first year teacher when I was 23, that I had a mental health condition that I had no knowledge of. My family had no knowledge of. So, very major public nervous breakdown as a first year teacher, just completely baffled and frightened and literally having to like put my life back together again with the system of support. But discovery, is also about discovering things about myself, about life that I really didn't know, I didn't understand. And the awareness that there are many things that we discover over and over again about ourselves and life. And then there's the next part, which is recovery. Recovery, like after you do deal with something that like hits you below the belt or in a way that you really didn't anticipate, you get knocked off your square. And recovery is that process back to yourself, that process of getting your foundation set again. And so for me, it was learning to navigate the mental health field as a person served, going to therapy and doing this when I was really the only person in my friends network or circle who was doing that. It's kind of learning how to do that as a professional. I was a professional the whole time. I was teaching and navigating this new space of recovery. Recovering from, something that I saw as very, very traumatic, very life-changing, but just kind of recovering like, oh goodness, well, who am I now? And what does life actually look like? And then one of my favorite parts in the book is beyond. And it's that space that I discovered in my life that's beyond recovery. So the interesting thing is very recently, one of the diagnoses that I received, which was baffling to me, was PTSD. And I was like, I've never served in the military. Like, what are you talking about? But the fact of, kind of rehashing, old wounds, old fears coming up again and again, kind of was keeping me from fully embracing the fact that, this was a major impact in your life, but this was over 20 years ago. Like, it's not still happening. So for me, the chapter of beyond is getting into that space of advocacy, getting in that space of healing and wholeness and centeredness. And, well, who am I now? What does my life look like now? It's not, it's not doubting. It's not hiding anything. It's embracing the fullness of who I am, the fullness of my experiences, and saying, okay, so now what? Like, okay, so what, what now? Like, what does life look like now for me? What does life look like now for, many of us who, May is Mental Health Month. So what does life look like now for many of us who, may have symptoms and we don't really know what that means, or maybe diagnosed, can't really tell anybody, or think we can't really tell anybody, or may not have necessarily a diagnosis, but it's like, what, it's some stuff that's happening in my life that is not cool. Like, what's going on? How can I move beyond? And so there's a space beyond struggle. There's a space beyond suffering. And I kind of just explore that in that chapter. And then the last, well, not that chapter, that part, because it's a series of vignettes. And so the last part is titled after the title, Mind as Well. And it is the part for me that comes full circle for me, that I now see, my mind as well, even in the midst of dealing with, very major, which was life-changing mental health condition, even in the midst of dealing with what people say, oh goodness, you can't do anything, you can't do this, you can't, hold a job, you can't have a relationship. Even in the midst of this, I see my mind as well. I see myself as well as whole and complete, beyond any stigmatism, beyond any negativity, was, my way, my body's way of protecting me the best way it knew how, emotionally and physically. And that was the way that things that just manifested in my life and my mind, and, which happens for many people. So hopefully I answered the question. That was a large part of my journey. And I love it. The fact that you started with that Maya Angelou quote, because that was definitely a burden of not telling the story, of not even knowing how to tell it. And so even as I tell it, it's not cyclical. It's snippets, it's vignettes, it's poetry, it's prose, it's reflection and research, that I've learned throughout my life, the impact that diet has on the mind, and the body, that we're all one unit together. Yoga and traditional Chinese medicine, things that have helped me just kind of come back to myself in a way that was different, a path that many people may not take, but it was a path that was specially crafted for me. So, I mean, it's a winding road, but that's the thick and the thin of it. And hopefully I answered the question.
You did answer the question, and I would say I applaud you for where you are in your life, and I'm grateful that you were able to come on the show this afternoon and share your journey with myself as well as the audience. And you talked about the word that came to my mind as you were telling the story about your journey is progressive. Okay, and just the different stages of discovery, recovery, the beyond, and mine as well. That's progressive, and so many people don't get to that stage of even discovery. And I'm just glad that you were able to be on the show and share about the importance of being in an environment where you are going through that discovery and then being strengthened to go through that recovery and understanding about beyond and having your mind as well, because there's a purpose and plan for all of us. And we have to be able to identify that and also have the support to have that progressive life and to actually develop in terms of where we are supposed to be. So I'm grateful for you to be able to share your story in the journey with the audience this afternoon. So let's talk a little bit about what excites you in the morning. What wakes you up in the morning?
Ooh, that's a good question. What excites me? I would say the smell of bacon, but I'm a vegan. Um, but the thought of the smell of bacon is still exciting. So I know I definitely have to applaud bacon whenever I can. But goodness, what excites me in the morning? What excites me, oh my gosh, is it freedom. It's freedom to one of the things that I do in the morning, a little routine, is I wake up and I just breathe. Literally just wake up and just sit there for a minute and just kind of just breathe a little bit. So just freedom and the hope of the hope and reality of what the day brings, what the morning brings. Even if my schedule is full, being able to kind of have that little moment to just kind of, okay, let's just take a breath, let's inhale, let's exhale, and then let's get on with it. So yeah, and the freedom, and I say that the freedom to do that is exciting, to me. I got stuff popping up. Let me close that. So yeah. Freedom and breath.
Freedom and breath. Those are great things to that excite you on your journey. Freedom is a key word, and I'm glad that excites you and allows you to do what you've been called to do each and every day. Can you share with the audience a little bit about your work and your experiences in education?
I can. So my certification is so I came in as an English teacher. So 22 years in education as an English teacher. It was all in high school. And then I went on, had some time in leadership. I was a department chairperson. I was a content leader, so 10th grade team leader and some other grade leads, literacy specialist, a little time being a literacy specialist, and an academic manager. So department chairperson in English and in reading. So I had that experience. I also have the experience of kind of going back even after I had my PhD in curriculum and instruction and getting a master's in reading. Because as an English teacher, I dealt with adolescents who were struggling readers, and I didn't know how to help them. Everything that I was looking at and that I saw was for emergent readers, but it was not that source of support that was needed to, help a high schooler who was not just not passing the state test, but was not reading, was struggling with comprehension. And, we did a lot of literary analysis, but when you're looking at the writing, we didn't delve into that. So for me, that secondary master's in reading, I love the fact that I could focus specifically on adolescent learners for reading and writing and what that meant. Because that is also a gateway of freedom of expression and being able to have that content rich environment that a lot of students don't get a chance to get. So that was it. I had some time in alternative education programs, working with the detention center as a literacy coach, being able to support at that level. And so it was a wide span of interaction in the classroom, and then sometime as an instructional leader as well.
Well, thank you for sharing your experiences. And I just want to follow up thinking about literacy and English. What advice would you share with an English teacher to really help them on their journey? Any professional development experiences that you said definitely they should experience that?
The ones that have been really impactful for me were all things that made room for the teacher himself, the teacher herself, to be able to show up fully in their classroom as their full self. I know we're chasing standards and it's so much pressure, but all of the professional development that focuses on well-being, I know it's a lot out now, social emotional learning, but that really focus on the well-being of the teacher as well as the students is paramount. Because oftentimes it's a lot of pressure. It's so much pressure on teacher, do more, be more, you can go harder. And it's like, I'm a human. So let's kind of, I'm a human in this thing. So the professional development that literally, it's student-centered engagement, but it's person-centered. This is a person-centered field, that our teachers are people. And so the well-being of the teacher impacts the well-being of the student. That was a lesson that I learned as an educator. My students were well when I was well. And when I was not well in my classroom, that showed up. It showed up in how I showed up. So those spaces that support the teacher as well as the student, I say thumbs up to it.
Yeah, that's I appreciate you sharing that. And like I said, this audience is teachers, administrators, superintendents, and just reinforcing and putting everybody back in terms of mindset. Let's think about the teachers that are in front of our students each and every day. providing them support, ensuring that they have the resources, and you have developed relationships and know exactly what they're going through and how to support this emotional learning of them as well as the students. So
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate you sharing that and reminding us about that importance.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Because teachers are parents.
mm,
Teachers are grandparents. Teachers, are in the classroom. Teachers are peers, meaning that we have teachers in our spaces who have mental health conditions, and you know it's a very this is a people industry. So
mhm.
a people industry deals with people issues. So we have to take care of the people in the people industry.
Yeah, that is very true. So can you talk a little bit more about your framework, lifestyle as wellness support, LAWS, the integrative model? Share with the audience about that.
Yeah, so lifestyle as wellness support developed from just things that I discovered in regards to, okay, I'm holding space for others, but in order for me to hold space for others, I have to be full, and then I'm given for my overflow. So it's, caring for myself. So the first, if there was a first, second, and third, one of the components is that self-awareness, and it's an acronym that spells out A pause. So it's my own awareness of kind of, what's going on with me. It's my personal preparation. And then it's my action plan for myself to be able to accomplish whatever it is that I'm accomplishing. It's understanding. It's understanding, if we put it in the context of, COVID-19, it is understanding that if I'm embarking upon something new, I'm being gentle with myself. I'm not expecting myself to enter that arena as an expert because it's new. But then if I'm doing something new, it's also understanding that many people around me may not understand what I'm doing. So there may be some pushback. But I also understand that there are networks of support that are out there, right? So that goes into the S. So support. I may not have that support right in my immediate circle, but I can reach beyond those borders to get the support that I need to even come back to where I am to help me. And then it's the E stands for education, being open to anything that I need to learn to be able to support me on this new journey. I don't care if it's dealing with a new curriculum, a new job, or starting a new health walk. That was kind of a little jagged way that I was able to just make sense make sense of these different transitions. And so that's the first, to me, that's one of the first components of it. And it's called lifestyle as wellness support because when those pieces are in place in my life, then my life itself becomes my support system, because now I'm surrounded with individuals who are helpful to my well-being. And it's going to take a minute, right? So the second component of it is what I call the transformation of mindset, in the sense that there are 5 different components. It's our mind, and that's a little different than mindset, but just our mind, what's going on with our own thoughts. It's my meals, it's movement, it's meditation, and it's money. All of those things together in some part are going to impact me. And then it's what I call the circle of care, caring for myself, interacting with others, and then showing up in the world, in an impactful way, when we have that circle of care, then that community that we create can take care of us in those times that maybe we're not able to. So in a nutshell, all of those components are components of the framework. Our society is made up of people. Our institutions are made up of people. And so when we have those institutions that are rooted and centered in well-being, then we gonna be good. If they're not rooted in well-being, then not so good.
Yes. I'm sitting here and just listening to the framework, and I've had several conversations in the past with educators, and this is not commonly discussed in education. We as educators are always looking at the people that we're there to help and support. We're always pouring everything into them, but we very seldom look at ourselves, pour into ourselves and give us the skills, the tools, and take care of ourselves so that we can be better for the students that we serve, the teachers that we serve, the district. And your framework has different levels that really gets us to really think about the different areas of our life and how to make them stronger so that we can have a strong impact on the people that we serve. And I'm just impressed in terms of the different levels of the framework and what it has to offer. And I'm glad that you're on the show to be able to educate me about the framework as well as members of the audience.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can you share more about your Be Well Friends LLC and the work that you're doing?
Yes. So, and I do want to state that it does seem like it's like, goodness, girl, you doing all this? It's everything. So everything works together, and everything is not something that I'm like, doing versus being versus bringing awareness to. So I do want to state that. So Be Well Friends was the so it's me. It's my business, my very very first LLC, and the premise of Be Well Friends is bringing awareness to making wellness a habit. Bringing awareness to the fact that my mission is to establish a culture of well-being, and that is what Be Well Friends sets out to do. And so, because the idea came up as I was going through my yoga teacher certification in 2018 through Breathe for Change, they always ask, "What are you going to do? What's your big thing? What are you going to do?" And so there's a mantra that we say often, and in Sanskrit it reads, or it's worded, "Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu," and that translates, "May all beings be well, and may my words, thoughts, and actions contribute in some way to this well-being." And so, as I was going through and studying myself, I was just like, everybody needs to know about this. Everybody needs to know about their own, power of awareness and securing, wellness for themselves, whether it's in their mind or their mindset, or whether it's in just pausing to breathe, before taking the step, letting breath guide action. And so that's the premise of Be Well Friends, and it's through awareness, having discussions just about culture of well-being and what it means to establish a personal practice for yourself, nutrition, movement, mindful movement in a way that supports your overall well-being. In the end, there are one-on-ones that I've done, like actual meditation sessions with individuals, and where I've gone through and crafted wellness videos for schools to do with their own campuses to be able to support well-being framework. And I did this in the very beginning of the pandemic. When we first went to virtual, people reached out to me and was like, hey, I know you have Be Well Friends. I know you're a yoga teacher. We're putting together something to encourage our teachers. Can you put something together for me? And I was like, yeah, I got you. And so it's the premise that we are saying that the status quo is not an option if the status quo is not supporting well-being. that is just like the bottom line of that. So yeah, and I do it for it's just me, but then I do partner with other wellness professionals to just be able to support people, whether it's individuals, families, or groups, to be able to be well. Digital content as well as uh, some live sessions too.
Very good. Thank you for sharing. And your website is on the screen, www.macbewell.com. And that's how you can find out more of the great work that Dr. McEwing is doing. It's not only just in Florida, because everything is virtual. It can be all over the world, global. So definitely reach out to her to be able to learn more about the services and the work that she can definitely offer. I know that you mentioned before that there's a lot of support groups that you're a part of. I just want to continue our discussion and talk about the Peer Support Coalition of Florida and the work that you're doing there.
Yeah, so I'm a board member. I'm part of the board of directors of Peer Support Coalition of Florida. And so just to break down what a peer is, so I'm a peer. That means I am a person who has lived with a mental health condition. So peers are persons who identify with, having had a mental health condition or through recovery, so addiction recovery. My experience, I do not have any direct experience with addiction recovery, but my life has been impacted. I do have loved ones very dear to me, who are going through addiction recovery. And so the workshops with Peer Support Coalition of Florida and other networks help not only us as individuals, but it also helps those of us who are supporting, loved ones who are dealing with different, just navigating life in a really tough way. So the Peer Support Coalition of Florida is the statewide premier network of peer support in the state of Florida. So I know many people are familiar with NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness. So Peer Support Coalition of Florida is a statewide network of mental health and recovery support. And I'm just so excited to be connected with Peer Support Coalition of Florida.
Very good. And can you just share more about Your Black Matters virtual peer space?
Yes. So Your Black Matters virtual peer space is actually a community specific group that is supported by an institute. So, everything has levels to it. So there is a peer network that's a part of Peer Support Coalition of Florida called Orlando. It's Peer Support Space of Orlando that has several community specific groups that really can help to support people where they are. And I had the pleasure of last August of spearheading, well, use the term spearheading, of helping to launch Your Black Matters virtual peer space. And so I'm one of the co-facilitators of Your Black Matters. We meet monthly. The last Monday of each month, and hold space. It's an opportunity to come in the space, and we talk about things that are impacting us, and we're in community with each other, from an hour to sometimes an hour and a half, and from all over, and it's a safe space that we chosen to create as a community. And sometimes we talk about how life things have impacted us, or how to navigate the mental health system, how to navigate transitions that we're going through in our lives, and just to be around people who are intentionally nice to you. for if for no other time, once a month, you get in a space and know that this is a space where I can come, that people are happy to see me, and they made an intention to hold sacred space together. And so I'm just proud to be able to be one of the co-facilitators of that space.
Very good. And the Treasure Coast Peer Network. What
Yeah.
does that work?
So Treasure Coast Peer Network, so that's local. Peer Support Coalition of Florida received a grant from SAMHSA to launch local network. So the Treasure Coast Peer Network is which I'm launching in the area, right here where I am in Vero Beach, Florida, and it's to bring together local peer support specialists like myself, and also provide just local support to the community. And so that's whether it's finding out, about resources, being able to connect with, other individuals, just having someone there as a support. And as a certified recovery peer specialist, I can also do one-to-one sessions as well if that's needed.
Very good. Very good. So let's talk about your baby. Mine as well. The journey from discovery to recovery and beyond. Share with the audience about the baby, the birth of this baby in April, the book, and share everything about that.
This is the baby. This is the only actual physical baby that I have right now. And I talked about it, I went through the different parts in the beginning. This is a long time coming. So this was over 20 years in the making. And we call it the baby because I kept saying, I don't want to have an ugly baby. I don't want to have an ugly baby. I, kept holding on and holding on. And, you and I met in the Black Entrepreneur Institute. And one of the things that our mentor said was, you got to release it. If you release something, if you wait until it's perfect, it's too late. And so that was one of the things that I just kind of kept in my mind. I self-published. But the major reason was to remove the stigma. I hear a lot of people, I sit in a lot of spaces, and I hear a lot of people talk about a lot of things. And, hearing people say, oh, this person's bipolar, child, and not knowing, I'm like, I received my bipolar diagnosis when I was 33 years old, and I'm sitting here listening to this chatter, and I'm just like, wow, I wonder how different conversations would be if not only we knew a little more, but just interacted with a little more empathy, um, and understanding that we are all uh, not dealing with something. I don't want to say dealing with something because I don't want to approach it like it's a burden, but we're humans. And as humans, we interact with life. Some days well and some days not so well. It's just the way it is. So, as a person who's lived through just a myriad of different things, it was a story that I felt, or a series of stories that I felt needed to be told from a first person perspective versus someone from the outside saying, oh, this is what it looks like. I have all respect for the mental health field. I love therapists, love counselors. Um, but as peers, we have a voice. We have a voice that we can speak for ourselves. There is power in, your story. In some stories we don't want to tell, and that's okay too. But I think it's important to, share your story if that's what you want to do in the way that you want to share it. Um, so that was really one of the major reasons, Edward, that I wrote it. And as you read it, people have told me they're like, "Oh my gosh, Tammy, I'm laughing." They said that they're laughing, they're crying, they're inspired. They think because I'm a whole person.
Mm.
Because I'm a whole person. So yeah, there's poetry in here, just about things that just bring me joy, just period. And then yeah, then it's a more of the very specific things in regards to specific things that I've navigated through, taking medication, changing medication, gaining like over 70 pounds just from taking different medications and navigating that, like navigating looking in the mirror and seeing a totally different person, and then dealing with all of the chatter of that. It's just like, okay, it's a lot that we have that's going on here, and doing that while working full time, as a teacher, dealing with diagnosis of uterine fibroid tumors and navigating that in the classroom as a teacher. you know so many very human things we deal with on a regular basis, that I think is so important to keep at the forefront, that it goes back to, we are in a people industry and we are dealing with people. So this is a people book written by a person.
Well, thank you very much again. Mine as well. Journey from Discovery to Recovery and Beyond, written by Dr. Tamia A. McEwing. Definitely, I'm going to put the link back on the screen. You can go to http bit.ly, bit.ly/mine as well. And that's going to take you to the Amazon link. So all of you can purchase a copy of the book. All of us know someone that has some challenges and struggles, and it's definitely a text that I would recommend to be in all of the schools and school leaders to have. As Dr. McGill has mentioned, we are in the people business. People have challenges, and we need to understand how we can support them. And this afternoon, Dr. McGilling has shared so many resources that are out there, sharing her story. And I'm just so grateful for this time to have this conversation this afternoon. And also, you can go to our website, www.macbewell.com, to learn more about the services that she can offer your district or also individuals. And Dr. McEwing, as we close out our time together, again, this audience has students, teachers, administrators, superintendents, community members, parents. What advice or what message do you want to share with them around your work that is going to that you want to leave off with this afternoon?
Thank you. Thank you for that invitation. And if I could, I would love to close off just with a centering breath, if we can, if that is allowed.
Yes, sir.
We deal with a lot in life every day. We may not always have the answers. If we have access to it, we may not be able to get to it right away. But what is central, what is with us now, and what is with us until we'll be on this earth, is our breath. And so I just invite us to, wherever we are, just come back to your breath. Come back to your breath. You can just center yourself wherever you are. Just take a breath in through your nose and let it out through your mouth. And we can take a second breath, just breathe it in and let it out. And just a third breath, just breathe it in and let that out. So I invite everyone just to continue to be well, give yourself permission to navigate through these spaces in the way that makes the most sense to you. We are dealing with a myriad of things. Pause when necessary. Get as much, rest as you can. If there are obstacles in our way that we need to move out of our way that's keeping us from being able to rest properly, and if we have the means to do so, let's move those obstacles out of the way so that we really can rest and be revived and show up as our best selves. Individuals who are in decision making roles, if you have the power and the platform to bring ease into someone's life, ease into the life of the individuals that you're working with, we're going to choose that. We're going to choose ease over profit. Because when we create those spaces for people to have the support that they need, the profit is going to come. The profit is going to come. The third thing, as far as parents are concerned, I know that our support systems are different. Some of us may have more help than others. I know that, we have multi, unit homes. We have parents, we have single parents, we have grandparents raising children. We have so many different ways that family is structured. And I just bring our attention to support that we have, that it may not look like it normally looks, but that support is there, even if it's going to spaces like, peer support space, even if it's reaching out to our local networks, that system of support that is going to help us to be able to bring that much more ease into our daily lives. It is there. I know I don't have any children myself, but a lot of my close friends do. And so that's one way that we're able to just kind of help support each other sometimes, take a little load off, take the kids, pick the kids up, kind of step in a little bit more when we have the resources to do so. And so those are the things that I leave, Edwards, no 1, 2, 3 step, 1, 2, 3 step advice, because everyone's life is different. But what I do leave is definitely the reality and the possibility of being able to exist in that well-being centered space. And for me, it started with me taking a very realistic look at the things that I had control over in my life. And in those times and spaces where I did not have control over certain things, there were spaces of well-being that were created that I was able to use as sources of support, whether it's through therapy, community wellness, or spaces like a virtual, peer group. They were there, and it's there for me, and it's there for all of us.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Tamia A. McEwing, for being on the show this afternoon. Thank you for your message. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your willingness to share with myself as well as the audience. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this episode of The Principal's Office. And join me next Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with another amazing educator who's making a significant impact for themselves, for others, and with others in education. Thank you very much and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.